My name is Lisa McNeill, and currently live in Rathdrum, Idaho. When I started at SIC, I was in Coeur d'Alene. I was a young mom with two girls, and I raised them pretty much myself with the help of my family. I've always had my family support, but I've also been very independent, so I didn't take handouts. I went back to college. I went to NIC for 2 years when I was 25. My mom said that she would buy me a computer if I went back to college or if I went back to school. And it was one of those big Dell computers with the big back, and I was so excited to have it. I was going for elementary education, and then I realized I don't like public speaking. Shocker. And my girls were getting older. School was a struggle, being single. I was working. I think I was taking like 32 credits. It was a lot. And then I was offered a job at a virtual tour company, which was kind of an up and coming thing at the time. And I just couldn't pass up that opportunity, just the money coming in. Instead of going to school and not having much money come in at all. So yeah, I was struggling. I remember I paid $475 a month for an apartment for me and the girls, which seems crazy. And I pretty much worked my way up. I made sure that I learned a lot. I worked my way up the ladder in a lot of different companies, but I just ultimately just wanted to make sure I was, somewhere that I was happy, because that was important. When I left the job with the state, it was like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders, even though I didn't know where I was going to go and I didn't have much money. Even my kids said, "Wow, Mom, you look happier." It was good because I don't know what I'm going to do next, but okay. Before starting at SIC, I worked for health and welfare. I was in the child support unit, and I was working on paternity cases. And it sounds interesting, but it's not. It was very grueling. It was very inside the box work. They like to point out what you did wrong. There was no way to, I'm a creative person, so there was no way to show that. It was, like I said, very, in the box work. Don't deviate from the manual type thing. So I did that for a while, and I was just miserable. So I left that job not really knowing what I was going to do. I cashed out some 401k. And it was me and my daughter living in an apartment in Hayden, actually. And I probably had maybe $100 in the bank. My car, although I was proud of it that I paid for it myself, was pretty much falling apart too. So at that point, I was dating my current husband, and he moved in. I actually went for a temp job that led me to SIC. It was for an hour and a half of work, and I wasn't going to go because it was a Friday, and it just didn't seem like, worth my time getting dressed up and going down. But everything happens for a reason. I decided to go ahead and go for it. And they pretty much hired me the next day to come in and do some customer service work. And then I eventually moved to customer service manager. I had management experience in the past. So I did that. The company was pretty small at the time. That was 2014. And I started writing down goals, which I had never done before. Just writing them down, thinking about them, making them happen, taking the small steps to achieve the goals. And that's something that it has been really big something that Lee talks about a lot, and it's huge within the company. So in a short period of time, I bought a new car. We had a wedding that was very nice that we were able to afford, and we took a honeymoon. We raised our credit scores in order, because we wanted to eventually buy a house, because that was next on our goals. And my husband's credit score was really low. I didn't even think it went that low because of college and student loans and credit cards. So we actually got it. It was below 400. So by the time we bought the house, we followed a couple steps that Lee had told us. And within 3 months, we had his credit score up to 640. So, so then we bought our house, and we were able to do a lot of repairs and add to the value. And that was our first investment property. We bought that about 4 years ago for $200,000, and we put it on the market, and it's selling next week for $500,000. I've always wanted to be a role model for my kids. So showing them that even though you're struggling, you can make it work, hard work. I think that a lot of how me and my husband, Fred, grew and were able to obtain and raise our credit and invest into real estate and just be able to be comfortable living is because we realized that we wanted more. How were we going to get that? We needed to set goals and then achieve them. And then once they just didn't seem so hard, we were looking at the big picture and thinking, how will we ever have that? Instead of, let's just start with one thing. And then eventually I was able to buy my truck, and I have my truck and my car, and Fred has his car. Not that things are important, but it's comfortable because I don't know how to drive in the snow without my truck. Since starting work with Secure Investment Corp, like I said, I started in customer service, and I enjoyed that. I managed customer service. I hired a couple people, but I wanted to learn more about real estate and how investing worked and try something outside my box. And I saw the opportunity to go into the funding department with Heather Dreves, the director of funding. And it just so happened that her assistant was leaving. So I just went right in there and said, can I have the job? And they said yes. So I just started learning, and I didn't have much training from the previous employee that left. So I just kind of had to just learn everything I could from Heather. It was just the two of us. So I just listened to her on phone calls. I read all of the literature and books on investing and being a lender, and just really, I like to say I dug in because I wanted to not only make myself valuable to the company, but just learn something and grow in that aspect. I have also helped a lot with processing for Kogo. I helped with Lake City servicing. I'm in the servicing department, so learning all the aspects of the company so that I could help our lenders and help the calls that came in to get them to the right department. And I think a big part of that, a big part of what I enjoyed the most and took a lot from is the fact that the education is here for the employees. It's free of charge. Take advantage of it. I did a funding tour with Lee. I went, actually, when we were traveling, I went down to Florida when Lee was still doing funding tours. That was really cool. So the company allows you or offers up the opportunity to read a book every month and then do a report on it. And then you get paid to do that. So I've always thought it was a really cool way to educate your employees, pay them to learn, and I really felt like it did educate the employees. It helped keep employee retention. You know, it's just a smart way to, instead of, you know, paying for classes and just this, having people, you know, assume that they're going to know, and take it upon themselves the incentive to get paid to read books each month was really cool. So I started off making appointments for Heather. And so what we do in the funding department is we help lenders who have money, we help them to passively invest it into real estate. So whether that's putting money into the fund or funding notes with us, we help them earn that passive income and get those high returns on their investment. So I started off setting those appointments for Heather and then listening to her talking to the lenders. And eventually it went into me talking with new leads, people calling in, setting up my own database of lenders and selling my own notes. Eventually it went from, you know, Heather selling all the notes to both of us selling notes to me primarily selling notes. And so Heather could focus more on fund members and raising money for the funds and other things that the director of funding needs to focus on. So it's been great helping lenders. This year alone, and it is March, I've raised over $5 million. So, and that's gradually just progressed over the years. I couldn't tell you how much money I've raised, but it's probably in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So all of that money helps so many people. It helps the lender with their passive income. It helps the borrower who's borrowing those funds and fixing and flipping and purchasing or refining those investment properties. It helps them. It helps the families that are going to move into those properties. And it helps me because I'm making more money helping other people. So everything I've learned here at Secured Investment Corp has led me and my husband Fred to have some financial freedom through the investments that we've made, the knowledge I've learned here. So it allows us to be more free. We're actually going to take a sabbatical and travel for a while. And that's all thanks to everything that I've learned here. The smart investment moves that I wouldn't have known about had I not worked here for the past 8 years. I've absorbed the information. It's been great. We're lucky enough to have had that opportunity, and we're taking advantage of it. We would like to see all of the states. So we are buying an RV and we are driving to see these states. So I'm not sure about Hawaii yet, but we plan to use the internet to go to all the different states and just kind of find the coolest spots and go see those and take our time. So we're not in a hurry. The kids are grown and out of the house. We do have grandkids now. So it's kind of our time to go do whatever we want and just have that freedom. And I think the most exciting thing is just not being in a hurry for a while, just taking that opportunity and advantage of that is very exciting for us. So I'm very thankful for the 8 years I've had here at Secured Investment Corp. All the people that I have met, I've built priceless relationships with fellow employees, clients, lenders. I'm excited for the next venture, but it's kind of bittersweet, and it is a sabbatical, so those doors open for me to come back, which is also very exciting for me, and I would definitely come back in a heartbeat. So I would encourage anybody, if they wanted to come work at Secured Investment Corp, to definitely do it. Be willing to learn, grow for the better. You want to be able to love to help other people. The mission is, you get more of what you want by helping others, and that has been true for the last 8 years. But I would highly encourage it. There's a lot of benefits to working here. Not only the knowledge, it's fun. You know, they value employees that really, you know, work hard and show up and do 100%, and you're rewarded for that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have stayed as long as I did.